Hi, I'm Alex and I'm a Waste and Recycling Education Officer with the City of Onkaparinga. As part of our Plastic Free July presentations, this is the final one of the month and we're going to be going through a brief overview of what goes in what bin. So we're going to be running through the 3 household bins that you have at your house and just talking about what goes in and what shouldn't go in them. So we hope you find it informative and useful, and if you have any questions, please put them in the comments box below because somebody will get back to you and answer them during this presentation. Let's talk about what goes into the green organics bin. With the advent of us now collecting fortnightly, there's some additional things that can go into our organics bin that you might not have been able to put in before. You may already know that you can put all of your garden clippings, trimmings, twigs, leaves and lawn clippings straight into your organics bin. This includes weeds like caltrop and soursop, which can go in there with no issues, even if you wouldn't put them into your home composting. This is because our organics bin goes to a commercial compost which gets heated to much higher temperatures, which will kill the spores of the weeds that you put in there. So feel free and happy to put all the weeds that you want into your organics bin. Okay, so inside the house, we can also put flowers that we get from bunches. Just remember to remove all packaging, elastic bands and flower foam. Next, we ask that you do not put in any kinds of timber into your green organics bin. This includes sawdust and offcuts because they may contain resins and chemicals that treat the wood that they do not want into the finished compost product. Moving on to paper materials, you can put all of your tissues, paper towels and serviettes into the green organics bin. We don't want these in the recycle bin because the paper quality is not good enough to be made into new paper, but it makes a great carbon input into the compost. And also paper towels and tissues are usually full of things you've wiped up off the counter, grubby things in the tissues and oils that you may have soaked up out of your pots and pans when cooking. These are all absolutely fine to go into the green organics bin, just keep them out of the recycle bin. Also with paper, we ask that you put all of your shredded paper from documents you might be destroying or small scrappy bits of paper, pop them into your organics bin as well. They make another great carbon source and the wetness from other materials in there will damp it down. In the recycle bin, these materials become very flyaway and becomes a problem at the sorting facility. So next we are going to talk about food scraps. So you may have already been putting some food scraps like banana peels, apple cores, potato peelings into your organics bin, but now we can put the full range of food in there. This includes meat scraps, bones, shells and also cooked foods, breads and cakes, and processed foods all can go into your organics bin. Now you can pop these items loose, you can wrap them in newspaper, pop them in paper bags, or alternatively you can use a compostable bag. Just ensure that the bag is certified and look for the seedling logo to confirm that. Items that we do not want in our green organics bin include hose pipes and plant pots. We don't want any plastic materials as well as plastic bags going into the organics bin because they will end up in the finished compost product, which gets sold back to customers to pop on their gardens and land. And no plastic items in there, along with no bricks and construction materials and large amounts of soil. So hopefully this has one other thing I almost forgot, is that you can put pet waste loose into your organics bin. This includes dog poo, but remember to leave off the bag unless it is compostable. You can also put the bottom tray of mess from your guinea pig cages and your bird cages straight into your organics bin. With kitty litters, please check our website for details because the material in these differs and there are some exceptions of what you can and cannot put into our green organics bin. Hopefully we've answered most of your questions. Again, a reminder, if you have any further questions that we haven't covered, please pop them in the comments box below. Here's a recap of the Green Organics bin. For a more extensive list, please look at our website. So, the landfill bin. This bin collected every week, but unlike the other bins, the resources in the landfill bin are not sorted or recovered in any way. They literally just go straight to our local landfill and sit in that hole, sometimes forever, depending on how long things take to break down. So we really want to use our bins responsibly and try and divert what we can from the bin. Unfortunately, there are some things that just have to go into our landfill bin. One of these is nappies. So in households with small children that have nappies, nappies are typically made from a complex structure of materials, and also they're soiled, so we can't recover them in any way. So all nappies need to go straight into the landfill bin. Next, we have soft plastics. There are recycling options with soft plastics like plastic bags at your local Coles and Woolworths, but if you're not willing to recycle them in these diversion ways, then you can pop them straight into your landfill bin. Do not put them in the recycle bin because the machinery cannot sort them out. Next, we have foam. So foam meat trays, foam food packaging, and the foam that comes around new pieces of furniture typically, these need to go into the landfill bin. They cannot be recovered in any other way, so the only option is the landfill bin. Also, we have drinking glass, crockery, plates, vases. If they're broken and not good enough to donate, they need to go into landfill. They cannot be recycled. Next, we have clothing, bedding, shoes, handbags, and toys. Again, if they're not good enough to donate and you wouldn't give them to a friend, then please do not donate them to a charity shop. Pop them into the landfill bin. The charity shops get a lot of donations that are unfortunately not good enough to donate, and that costs them a lot of money. So please be responsible with your donations, and if they're not good enough, pop them into the landfill bin. The next one that needs to go into the landfill bin are tablet blister packs. So any old medication packs, the foil on the back cannot be separated from the plastic at the recycling centre, so that needs to go into our landfill. If there's any medication left over in these packets, please take them back to your local pharmacist so that they can dispose of them responsibly. On health and hygiene, toothpaste, toothbrushes, and squidgy cosmetic tubes and shampoo tubes, these cannot be recycled, so they will need to go into the landfill bin. There are some local recycling programs, but you will need to find them separately to find a donation point. Have a look on our website to see if you can find some drop-off points. There have been some changes recently, but you cannot put these in the recycle bin, and if you can't find a local drop-off point, then just pop them into the landfill bin when you're done. Now, there are some restrictions on things that we put into the landfill bin. There's some things we cannot take to landfill because they're banned by the EPA. These include bricks and construction material. So if you're having any renovations done at your home, just be sure to not put anything into your landfill bin because it may make your bin too heavy, which means we can't empty it. And also these materials can be recovered either through a skip or by taking it to a local transfer station. Other things that are banned from landfill include batteries. So batteries are the biggest cause of fires in our trucks and at recycling sorting facilities. So please don't put batteries into any of our bins that we collect at the curbside. This includes your recycling and your organics bin. There are, again, local recycling options. Please check our website, and some supermarkets take batteries as well. So just have a look and see if you can find a recycling drop-off point for batteries, but they are not to go into your curbside bin. This includes the small little button batteries as well. Light globes are another thing that have a local recycling drop-off but actually can't go into any of our bins. So have a look on our website to see if you can find a local drop-off point to recycle your light globes and drop them off. Mobile phones, the council has a collection drop-off at our local council offices where you can drop off your mobile phones. Alternatively, most mobile phone stores have drop-offs for the chargers, the headphones and the mobile phones, but they are electronics and we cannot put electronics into our landfill bin. They are banned from our landfills. This includes all electronics, so if you have other electronic items like kettles and irons and microwaves that are broken, there is a program called Unplug and Drop that have cages at your local Bunnings and a few other locations around our area. So again, have a look on our website or Google Unplug and Drop and see if you can find a drop-off point for your electronics. So that's all the things that we cannot put into our landfill bin, and the things that we can, hopefully you've been able to divert and reduce the amount that we're sending to landfill and that you learned something. Again, if you have any questions, please pop them in the comments box below. Thanks. Here's a recap of the landfill bin. For a more comprehensive list, please go to our website. Let's talk about what goes into our yellow lidded recycle bin. Now, the company that takes our recycling is predominantly interested in recycling the packaging that we get from our food and drink from supermarkets. It's not interested in doing bigger materials, and we're going to go through the 4 main materials that you put into your recycle bin. These are glass, metal, paper and plastic, okay, and go through the things that can and the things that can't to hopefully clear up some ambiguities that people may have. So we'll start with glass, okay? So the main items we're putting into our recycle bin are glass bottles and glass jars. Just remember with the glass that if you've got a metal lid, to separate that out. So the recycler is trying to separate the different materials, and when you take the metal lid off the glass jar, you're saving them a bit of time and energy. Also ensure that all your containers are drained and empty of solid materials before you pop them into the recycle bin. Now, not all glass can go into our recycle bin. Drinking glass, cooking glass, Pyrex, windows and mirrors, do not put them into your recycle bin as they contain different additives that mean that they melt at a different temperature to our glass bottles and jars. This can leave weaknesses or also lumps in the new glass that they're trying to make. So keep out all of your drinking glass, cooking glass, mirrors and windows from your recycle bin, and if you have any of those items you need to dispose of, pop them into the red landfill bin. Next, we're talking about metals. So with the metals, you can pop your aluminium cans and your tins from tuna, baked beans, soups, those sorts of things. Obviously, aluminium cans can all go for 10-cent container recycling if you collect for that, but otherwise they can all go into your recycle bin. We can also put pots and pans and old metal cutlery into our recycling bin if they're not good enough to donate to your local charity shop. Alfoil. The recycling people that take our recycling, they want clean alfoil, but it needs to be rolled into a fist-sized or tennis-sized ball. If you put the clean alfoil in flat, it may get mistaken in the sorting process for paper. So when you have some clean alfoil, just roll it into a tennis-sized ball. If you have smaller pieces of items like yogurt lids and wrappers off the chocolates that you get at Easter, just save them up until you can roll them into a big enough ball and then pop them all into your recycle bin. Next, we have paper and cardboard. So all of your cardboard boxes, your newspaper, your magazines, envelopes and clean paper bags can all go into your recycle bin. This includes boxes from crackers and other long life milk cartons, they can go in there, but the paper and cardboard needs to be clean. So with things like paper bags and pizza boxes, if you've had a really greasy, cheesy pizza, that cardboard is probably best going in the green organics bin. However, if it's clean and free of crumbs, you can pop it into your recycle bin. Some things we do not want in the recycle bin that are made of paper include shredded paper, because these become a flyaway item. If the bin is collected on a windy day, the paper will end up down the rest of your street. And at the recycling centre, which is a large warehouse, the winds pick up in there and spread the shredded paper all over the warehouse, which means it doesn't end up getting recycled either. So pop it in your green organics bin, and that will provide a good carbon source for the compost that they create. The other thing we want to pop into our green organics as opposed to our recycling bin is serviettes, tissues and paper towels. Often these have soaked up oil or blown noses, and we don't want to recycle those materials. So pop those into your green organics to again create some nice healthy compost for our gardens. Okay, so plastics. Now plastics are tricky because they come in many shapes and forms, and it's often hard to distinguish which should and should not go into the recycle bin. Now many people look for a triangular recycling sign to indicate to them whether they should put it in the recycle bin. Now I'm going to ask you now, stop looking for the recycling triangle on the bottom and simply use this guideline to work out whether you should pop it in the recycle bin. So if your item is scrunchable, then it is classified as a soft plastics, and this should not go into the recycle bin. This can now be recycled through a local program called REDcycle. At your local Coles and Woolworths, they should have a drop-off. Otherwise, pop it into your landfill bin. However, if your plastic has a three-dimensional shape and is less likely to be able to be scrunched into a ball, then it is good to go into the recycle bin. This includes other hard items like yogurt containers, sauce bottles, your milk containers. Just make sure that they're drained and empty of solids before you pop them in. For smaller pieces of plastic, such as lids, cable ties, bread tags, pop them into a closable container like this milk container or a large juice container, similar. And once it's full of all the lids, you can pop that into the recycle bin. And they will all stay contained and not get away. Next we have something that cannot go in, which is foam. Now foam is not recyclable because it breaks up and it's too light and the process just can't handle dealing with it at this moment. Now there's many different types of foam, but one that confuses people is the foam you get in meat trays, because we have hard plastic meat trays and foam meat trays. The way to tell the difference between them is a foam meat tray has a slightly squishy feel to it, whereas the hard plastic is rigid. And remember, rigid plastics can go into the recycle bin, but the foam needs to go into your landfill bin. This includes other foam items such as takeaway containers and the foam that you get around new appliances when they come in a box. Okay, now some other things that can't go into the recycle bin include clothing and toys and shoes and handbags. Now the recycling, as we said, is mostly a packaging recycler. They don't deal with unwanted goods like clothing and toys, okay? So if they're good enough to donate, please give them to a Goodwill shop or put them in a charity bin. But otherwise, if they're damaged and nobody's going to want them, pop them into your landfill bin. And in the recycle bin, I already mentioned that we don't put any soft plastics. This includes bags for the recycling. All the items in your recycle bin should just be loose, okay? Because when it gets to the recycling facility, if they find a plastic bag, they don't know what's in it, and they will just discard it, okay? And all your recycling efforts will go to waste. So leave your items loose to give them a good chance of being recycled and being turned into new things. Thank you. Here's a recap of the recycling bin for For a more extensive list, please go to our website. Thank you for listening along with us today. We hope you found it interesting. As I said, this was just a brief overview of what goes in the bins. For further information, you can always pick up one of these handy guides for a quick reference when you need it at home, or further information and more extensive A to Z listing of what goes in what bin can be found on our website. Alternatively, if you have any other questions for us, please do not hesitate to email or call us on the following information, and we hope to hear from you soon, and we hope that you found us interesting.